All right, first item on the agenda is a continued notice of intent from McGovern Boulevard. They've requested a further continuance to April 23rd. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll make the motion to continue to April 23rd.
I'll second.
All right, motion's been made by Bruce and seconded by Dennis to continue the McGovern Boulevard hearing to April 23rd. Any further discussion? Hearing none, this will be a roll call vote. Bruce McGregor.
Aye.
Jim LaValle.
Aye.
Dennis Hubbard.
Aye.
Tom Seidenberg also votes aye. Next on the agenda, we have Zero Heritage Lane. So I did receive a request earlier tonight from Matt Marrow to postpone this on the agenda. He had a scheduling conflict and won't be here immediately. So I'd like a motion to move this hearing later in the meeting.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we move this to later in our meeting today.
Second.
All right, motions been made by Jim and seconded by Bruce to move the discussion for Zero Heritage Lane later in the meeting. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this will be a roll call vote. Jim LaValle.
Aye.
Dennis Hubbard.
Aye.
Bruce McGregor.
Aye.
Tom Seidenberg also votes aye. Sorry, I just need to write some notes here. All right. Next on the agenda, we have a continued notice of intent for 10 Fire Road 54. We also have a request to continue this hearing until April 9th. Can I have a motion to that effect?
A motion to continue this to April 9th.
I'll second.
Right. Motion's been made by Jim and seconded by Dennis to continue 10 Fire Road 54 to April 9th. Any further discussion? This will be a roll call vote. Jim LaValle.
Aye.
Dennis Hubbard.
Aye.
Bruce McGregor.
Aye.
Tom Seidenberg also votes aye. Okay, next we got 310 Fort Pond Road. I do see Dave Crossman on the line. Dave, want to bring us up to date?
Hi, Dave Crossman with BNC Associates representing the applicant. We have finally received our DP file number. And there were some comments from DEP regarding first, a couple of outstanding order conditions, one from 2001 and one from 2017. And I did send over requests for certificates to Tom earlier this afternoon. So hopefully that'll help take those off the docket.
Yeah, I did get those. Thanks, Dave. I didn't have a chance to forward them out.
Well, I don't expect you to act on them tonight, but
Okay.
that's just something that DEP wanted to get off their books and probably off your books too. So they also wanted to discuss a vegetative buffer between the limit of work and the bank, in this case, which would be the pond. And there is only a few feet of beach at the edge of the developed area. And planting that doesn't seem practical. The applicant is willing to put some vegetation around the sides, but there's like 3 feet of room left of beach that they would prefer to have open the way it's always been. So I don't know how the commission feels about those comments.
Commissioners, do you have any opinions on that? Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, so yeah, I read the DEP ask too. I don't have a strong preference for that. It is a really small space. Do you happen to have any photos you can share with us?
There were some photos in the filing. I could,
Just maybe remind everybody what that looks like.
Dave, are you trying to share?
so I'm trying to find those photos.
Okay.
Uh,
I have the NOI. I can share. If the photos were in the NOI submittal, right? Those are the photos you're referring to. I can share if that would.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
this is standing from the beach
Oh,
side looking
you
towards
got
the
it. Okay.
house.
Okay, you're gonna share, Dave.
So are you seeing any photos?
No, we don't. We don't see your screen.
All right.
Let me. I'll bring up the notice of intent. I believe that's the pictures you're gonna share. Yeah. Are folks
Let me
able to
see it.
see my screen? Okay.
So let's see the area the DEP commented on, if it's there.
So I think, Dave, this is what you're referring to here, the very limited section of beach.
Yeah.
On my site visit, this looked to me like artificial surface. Is that correct? The area where there's snow?
There's a deck in there and some artificial turf.
And Dave, the client is willing to do some plantings in what area now? I mean, this is a good picture.
There's an area behind the shed. After I think we're going to be putting a dry well in that area, but we can plant over around by the shed in that area. The other side is the house comes right out to the edge of the water.
Yeah.
There's really not that much of an area to work with on the whole site.
I think doing something in the area that so the picture we're looking at now, it's in the back of the shed from this view. Is that what you mean?
Yes, there's a
Okay.
group of like three or four red maples right there.
Yeah. All right. I got it.
That grassy area. in there. This is looking at the beach itself. That's only the width of that two-man kayak or whatever it is right there, pontoon boat. That's as much area as we have to work with.
All right. I mean, I would be satisfied with that.
Bruce, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I always think it's important to follow DEP's guidelines, and I think if you did something there, I think that would be, you know, within the scope of at least addressing, what they're trying to accomplish. I don't think they quite understand the property, from the comments. So I think if you did that, that would satisfy it.
Okay. The applicants have said they are willing to do plantings, so that's not really an issue. It's just a question of where.
Yep.
And I think where you showed kind of behind that shed, that is still kind of in the front. I mean, if the shed wasn't there, it really is kind of in the front. So I think that's good.
Okay. And I guess the only other issue, which isn't really Wetlands Act issue, was DEP was looking for the applicants to apply for maybe or look into whether or not they needed a Chapter 91 license for any of the dock or anything. But their dock is, it's a removable. They just take that out of the water, and there's nothing in the water right now. So they have, but that's an issue that we'll be addressing with DEP. It's not really a conservation issue, I think.
Okay. So with respect to the certificates of compliance, I think we'll need to do a site visit. You said in your email to me that obviously for the 20-year-old COC, getting a statement from the engineer is going to be difficult. Now that order of conditions, that was for an addition to the house, is that correct?
Yes, there was an addition put on, which I'm assuming the building inspector would have taken issue if there was anything different from what was planned. And the other order of conditions was, it was filed as an RDA with DEP for the shed, and the order of conditions came under the bylaw for the shed. So there you can see the shed is pretty much where it was supposed to be.
Yep. So let's schedule a site visit so I can take a look, and we can fill out the paperwork. Commissioners, so we do usually request the the as-built. Do we have an as-built available for any of this?
The shed, well, for the plans or the engineering stuff, I think that was a hand-drawn rendering for the shed, according to the order of conditions. There was a plan submitted by the applicants themselves.
Yes, I did see that. It had the like the Lowe's shed documentation in it.
Yeah.
Hi, it's Kelly. I just wanted to say, excuse me if I could.
Sure, go ahead, please.
If we're talking about as-built from the addition 21 years ago, we probably have something. It will be torture for me to find it, but if that's critical, if that's what's standard that everybody has to do, I will kill myself to find it, but it should be in the building department also.
I will need to review the order of conditions to see if that actually was. Certainly is a standard condition now. I don't know if it was a standard condition then. Let me review that quickly. Directory.
Tom, I'm actually in the building. I could probably go back and take a look, see if I can find something.
That would be super helpful.
So this was pre-bylaw, so this is not, that's not a standard condition for the state. Or at least it wasn't in 2001. Yeah, so I actually don't think we're gonna need the as-built. Yeah, there's not a condition for an as-built in this order of conditions. That's more recent part of the form. Okay. Oh, wait, no. There are general conditions from Lancaster. Oh yeah, sorry, it is there. So commissioners, what's your mood on this? It's over 20 years ago. Go ahead, Bruce.
As long as they've got whatever they needed to have this go through, I don't have an issue with this at all.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I would just like it closed, and I realize the difficulty that could present, like having an engineer sign off on it. Are we sure we need that?
Well, it's in as part of the request for a certificate. The last page, there's a thing that says if it was a stamp plan, you should have an engineer
Yeah,
make a statement
I've seen
that
that.
it's complies with the plan, but they're just looking for a statement from the engineer, not necessarily an as-built. I'm not sure that the engineer would even, and it was 20 years ago, the engineer may not even be with the company, or I
Right.
believe
Sadly, he's not
Celtic
alive.
Engineering was the company.
It's
I
not allowed.
believe they are still in business.
He passed away.
Okay.
Although we did have a new engineer, work on this and do all the different things that the commission asked for and added to the plan.
So maybe that engineer could provide a statement. Just a thought.
I mean,
So
all he would have to do is just sign off or make a statement that everything was done according to the plan. That's all that the request is looking for.
yeah. So just I am in favor of getting the COC and just keeping the record clean.
Yep, that way they've got no issues down the road. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Bruce. So is it clear, Dave, what the next step is? So I think I should schedule a site visit with you, just to close out those COCs. Just take a quick look. I'll need to review the orders again, and then if we can get some kind of statement or copy of a plan. Clayton, I see you got your hand raised. Go ahead. Did we lose you? You're on mute. I don't know if you wanted to speak. I think he disconnected. I wonder if he might be having problems.
I don't see him anymore.
Can we just quickly, can I hear what the engineer needs to state? maybe you got it, Dave, and I don't need to reiterate. I just want to be clear so that we can move on.
Sim-
It's just the statement that there's no deviation from the plan that was approved by the commission.
Okay,
So I happen to know you're the new engineer really well. I've known Tim Bauschman forever.
good.
So
I'm gonna
I
stay
can
out of
talk
it.
to him about getting that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, commissioners, any more questions or comments?
Oh, this fucking thing. I can't.
Okay, we can hear you now, Clayton.
Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yep, yep.
Well,
So you wanted to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah. This project was done a long time ago, and we did everything right. In fact, Tom, I've asked you to discharge and sign off on the order conditions we have on the shed, and you promised me it was going to be done, just like that was promised to be done 20 years ago. This isn't a thing that we did wrong. This is something that was an oversight by the town of Lancaster, and not.
So with all due respect, Clayton, if you had submitted a request for a certificate of compliance and we gave you one, you need to record it in the registry of deeds. That's how the process works, and there's no
So then you
COC
have.
recorded.
So you have a copy of that?
We have no record of having received a request for certificate of compliance, and we have no copies of the certificate of compliance. I looked at the files this morning.
So you don't remember me asking you directly when you came to visit at my house to see the shed umpty years ago? Well, the level of water at the pond.
So I wasn't on the commission when you did the shed work. I visited your house when there was problems with the level of the pond.
Correct.
That's the only time I've talked to you.
All right.
It's
So you deny it. That's all. There's nothing else I can say. I don't know. I guess we got to follow the paperwork. I mean, I don't know why we're being delayed. I don't know why this is a problem. It should be easier than this, always. That's all.
Yep. Thank you. So Dave, I think the next step is I'll just schedule a site visit with you. And I'm pretty sure we'll be able to get those COCs and on the next meeting. And we should be able to approve this project once that's all cleaned up.
All right.
Commissioners, do you have any more questions about the project? Are we otherwise good at this point?
I'm good.
All good.
Okay, so it seems like we'll be able to close this out next meeting.
All right.
Would you like to have a continuance?
So I'll officially request a continuation until
The next meeting is on April 9th.
April 9th. April 9th.
I'll make the motion for continuous to April 9th.
Second.
All right, motion has been made by Bruce and seconded by Dennis to continue to April 9th. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. This will be a roll call vote. Jim LaValle,
Aye.
Bruce McGregor.
Aye.
Dennis Hubbard.
Aye.
Tom Seidenberg also votes aye. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Good night.
Next item on the agenda is a continued notice of intent hearing for 320 Bolton Road. DEP has not yet issued a file number or comments, so we have a request to continue until we receive the DEP file number and comments. So if we can have a motion to continue to April 9th in the hopes that that happens.
Make that motion.
Second.
Yes. Motion's been made by Jim, seconded by Bruce to continue the 320 Bolton Road hearing to April 9th. Any further discussion? Hearing none, this will be a roll call vote. Jim LaValle,
Aye.
Bruce McGregor.
Aye.
Dennis Hubbard.
Aye.
Tom Seidenberg also votes aye. Okay, moving right along. Next up on the agenda, we have a request for determination of applicability for 280 Bolton Road. Let me read the notice into the record. Town of Lancaster Conservation Commission, notice of public hearing, remote via Zoom, March 26, 2024. The Lancaster Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, March 26, 2024 at 7 p.m. via Zoom to hear and act upon the following matter. A petition by Craig Silvio, a Massachusetts contractor with an address of 11 Magnolia Ave, Lancaster, Mass. Applicant, Young Kim Tae and Anne Marie Warren Kim, property owners, for the following. A request for determination of applicability, MGL under Wetlands Protection Act, MGL 131, Section 40, as to whether the property owner's 280 Bolton Road, the owner's property, 280 Bolton Road, which is located within Zone AE of the 100-year floodplain, is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act, so that the applicant can apply for a building permit to add a 3-season addition. The property is located in Lancaster and is identified on Assessor's Map 38, Parcel 146. Copy of the application and accompanying documents are on file in the Office of Community Development and Planning, 701 Main Street, Lancaster, Mass. 978-365-3326, extension 1074. Okay, who do we have on the call to talk about this project?
Craig Silvio, I'm the contractor for the project.
Welcome. Do you want to describe the project for us?
You basically described it. The homeowner is just looking to get a building permit to build a 3-season porch addition on the rear of her property. The addition is going to be in the same footprint as a deck that was recently removed. And the addition will also be supported by technoposts. So there'll be no soil disturbance. We're not doing any excavation or regrading of the lot. The technoposts create barely any tailings at all. It's basically just a drill bit that goes into the ground. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, she's just looking to get the permit and get the project started.
Great. Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions, comments? Go ahead, Bruce.
A couple things. Thank you, Tom. The first thing is, should we probably mention about how Jim and I are butters and the process with the select
Yep.
board approved that, just so that's in the record?
Thank you. Yes. So for the record, both Jim LaValle and Bruce McGregor are abutters to this project. They both filed conflict of interest disclosures with the select board, which approved their ability to participate in this hearing at yesterday's select board meeting. The exemptions were approved because the commission could not otherwise act on this RDA. Thanks, Bruce, for the reminder.
Sure. And I was looking at the plans, and you know, as he had mentioned, it's what is it, 120 square feet? I think it was something like that. But it's just going to be in the same spot. Is there also going to be a separate deck in addition to that, or?
It's 16 by 14 addition. It's the same footprint as the deck, and it has a 6-foot landing with stairs coming down off the side, and everything is inside the setback.
Yep.
So it's basically just the deck with a roof on it. It's pretty much what we're doing.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty simple ask. I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it seems pretty straightforward to me. So the deck is sitting on, I don't know what you call them, but they kind of screw into the ground, right?
Yeah, it's basically just screw bits that stay into the ground.
Yeah, yeah. And so there's no tailings or hardly any tailings, and this is basically the backyard.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no issues with this. pretty straightforward, simple. I'm not even seeing the need for erosion control anywhere.
Yeah, there'll be no soil disturbance at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to
So-
agree with, sorry, Jim, I thought you
No,
had.
no, that's all I have.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I don't think that this requires a notice of intent. I'm inclined to vote for a negative RDA. Commissioners, any more comments or questions?
Pretty straightforward.
Okay, so I'd be happy to take a motion for a negative determination.
Move that we issue a negative determination of applicability.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made by Jim and seconded by Dennis to issue a negative determination of applicability. Any further discussion? This will be a roll call vote. Jim LaValle,
Aye.
Bruce McGregor.
Aye.
Dennis Hubbard.
Aye.
Tom Seidenberg also votes aye. All right. We'll get
All right.
that filled out and sent to you. Thank you very
I
much.
appreciate you guys' time. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, let me just write some notes here. All right, I do see Matt Marrow is on the line now. So we can circle back to Zero Heritage Lane. Matt, you're good to go? Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I do appreciate the flexibility. If I could be permitted to share my screen.
Please do.
Let me know when you guys can see that. I know sometimes there's a lag.
Yep, we can see it.
Yep.
Okay, so the tweaks we made in the plan, we added some more index legends so that things were a lot more clear on the plan as to what they were. And the flagging that was originally placed was re-extended out to the stream edge. Other than that, it looks like everything else is unchanged from the last time we met. I know, Mr. Chair, I sent it to you, forget, maybe a couple days ago. So you guys could have a quick look. It's basically the same plan, only that just those few tweaks for clarification purposes. So I know we had discussed doing a third-party review. So I just wanted to clarify, based on our last discussions, I'm assuming that you're going to want an engineering company to review the hydrology of the site pre and post development. Is that what I'm getting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that. So, Brian, do you have an update on putting out the bid for the peer review?
Well, no, I guess I was looking for the scope of work. So now we have it, review hydrology, and if we could discuss that, I can certainly get this out to bid. Or just, not to bid, but just to ask for proposals.
Okay. All right, I thought we had reached that at last meeting, but okay. Yeah, so let's get that moving. Commissioners, do you have any further questions or comments with this plan?
Nope.
Been hearing a little bit of static. I'm not sure, Matt, were you trying to talk?
Nope, it wasn't me.
Okay.
No, I like the consolidation of the wetland, all the one zone, the increased area that we put in with the revisions. So I think to me, it's let's get that hydrology report.
Bruce, you've got your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I like everything that's on here. I think this is going to work real well. I think just having that consultant come in just to make sure, since he's more of a professional than I certainly am when it comes to this, just having him take a look and have a second opinion would be great. I think Matt's done a nice job here.
Thank you very much.
Any further questions or comments from any of the public? Seeing none. So I imagine we'll be continuing this to the next meeting.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Please.
Okay. Could we have a motion to continue to April 9th?
I'll make a motion to continue to April 9th.
Second.
Motion's been made by Bruce and seconded by Jim to continue to April 9th. Any further discussion? This will be a roll call vote. Dennis Hubbard,
Aye.
Bruce McGregor.
Aye.
Jim LaValle.
Aye.
Tom Seidenberg also votes aye. Okay. Thank you, everyone. And I think
Thank you
that
very much.
Thank you.
I think that concludes all of the public hearings. Anybody who had joined looking for either McGovern Boulevard or the 10 Fire Road 54 hearings, those have been continued. So we now move to the discussion part of the agenda. First up on the list, order of conditions, 35 Holiday Lane. So I wrote up the conditions and I sent those out to the commission. I just like the commission to ratify those that order of conditions and the special conditions, so we can get those signed this week. Go ahead, Jim. You've got your hand up.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, Tom, I just want to say nice job on those conditions. I had no issues with them. It looks great.
Any further discussion? So I'd be happy to take a motion to ratify the order of conditions so that we can all sign it this week.
I'll make the motion to ratify the order of conditions.
Yep, second.
Right, motion's been made by Dennis and seconded by Jim to ratify the order of conditions for 35 Holiday Lane. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this will be a roll call vote. Jim LaValle.
Aye.
Dennis Hubbard.
Aye.
Bruce McGregor.
Aye.
Tom Seidenberg also votes aye. Brian, you have both the form and the draft, right? You'll be able to print those and get them out in the bin tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. So commissioners, please try to get those signed this week. The deadline is Monday, so let's try to get it done on Friday, no later than Friday.
Okay.
If you can't get there this week, please say so now.
I'll be able to get there. I won't be able to get there tomorrow, but I should be able to get there either Thursday or Friday, so I'll definitely sign it.
Okay, great. All right, next on the agenda, we have the proposed Hawthorne Lane open space transfer. As an abutter, I'm recused from this hearing, so I'm going to transfer the chair to Jim. Take it away.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so 0 Hawthorne Lane, open space land transfer. So this is our third meeting discussing this. I'm hoping that we can bring it to a close today, if not today, by the next meeting at the latest. So after our last meeting, Brian, you were going to find some things out for us. Can you share with
No,
us?
I don't. No, I haven't been able to get anything from Kate on this. I have the draft CR that I don't know if you have that as well. That's something I'm drawing a template.
So last meeting, commission, we wanted some things in writing, right? So something from DPW that said that the commission would not be responsible for maintenance of the stormwater management systems on the sites. What else did we ask? We asked about what is the town's liability for not having a certificate of compliance for the 121 Hilltop Road order of conditions. So that was for the whole development from 2015. So let me ask the commission for some feedback. So Bruce, Dennis, how do you feel about, yeah, go ahead, Bruce, your hand is up.
And also, the pump house too, to make sure that we're not responsible for the pump house as well.
Yeah, we're going to carve that out in an envelope in a
I think it's the same. I think it's just getting these answers. I think that, I mean, I feel comfortable with us, taking it over. I also think it would help out the town. I think it would help out the neighborhood. I think it's a, nice piece of property. So I think that,
Yeah.
it's basically just making sure that, we don't have the responsibility of the maintenance and as you mentioned about the, town liability and, 121 Hilltop. No, I think we've got it all together. We just need those answers to make a decision.
Yeah, so Dennis, I'm going to prompt you for your feedback too. How do you feel about accepting it if we can sort these things out?
I think if we can get these things sorted out and the answers goes the way we're expecting them, I don't have an issue as long as we can carve out the pump house.
Okay.
So I'm good. I just think we have a couple open questions. We should definitely know what we're signing up for, and what we're signing on for from the town, and just get that clearly documented so there's no surprises down the road.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I think.
Oh, John, I just wanted to mention, I did get I did press on the question of liability for the conservation.
Okay.
And, there was, and I was being told flat out, there would be no liability to the commission if they held the conservation restriction. I can follow up on that, but that's what I was told at that last meeting we had with the contractor, with the developer.
So
yeah, and I think we just wanted to make sure our town administrator agreed with their contractor on that. And
no, she was at the meeting, yes. So again, I'll follow up with that question and in your other questions, Jim. I know I just had them.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
So yeah, I really want to get
follow up with these. I'll make sure I get them.
Really want to get all this into the record. I think the general feeling is that the commission wishes to accept the parcel, but we have some, T's to cross, I's to dot kind of thing. Bruce.
Yeah, I mean, hearing that from the developer is nice, but we definitely need something from the town. And I also I think it was Dennis is the one that mentioned about getting it in writing, which I agree with. So I think that it's a nice offer by the developer, but we really need something from the town and also about the maintenance from DPW. And if we can just get that in writing, that would be great.
But that was a meeting with the developer, but answer wasn't from the developer. That answer was from I believe town council.
Oh, good. Okay.
Oh, that's good.
Got it.
That wasn't.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. That makes a big difference. If it's from town council versus the developer, that's a big difference. So thank you for clarifying that.
yeah, thanks, Brent.
Okay. Any more comments from the commission?
Nope.
Any comments from the public? I don't see any. Brian, if we put this off one more meeting, how does that impact the timeline? Do we have time for that? And we vote on this at the next meeting?
Well, the question is when, which we still haven't found, was when this we know that the subdivision expires. There's a date in May when it expires. So this has to get before the planning board, I believe, to get that extended. That's just for the subdivision. I know that's the date I have in front of me now. But it's more of a planning board question. But if we get that extended, we still have the developer then in play, right?
Okay. So if we vote on this on the 9th of April, that seems to leave plenty of time.
Yes, I'll follow up on this tomorrow. Now that this
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
So yeah, let's make that our goal then. I feel as though we need to give a little feedback to the select board too. Let them know what's going on. I don't know if anybody's on the call here, or if they're paying attention to us, but I know they are waiting for the Concom. Okay. I think we're ready to move on to the next agenda item.
Right. Thanks, Jim.
That's back to you, Tom, for South Meadow. Yeah.
Thanks. All right. Next item on the agenda is a request to extend order of conditions for South Meadow Pond. I do see someone from DCR here. Can you please bring us up to date?
Sure. Good evening. My name is Joy Tran-Liptak. I'm an aquatic biologist with Department of Conservation and Recreation and the Division of Water Supply Protection at Wachusett Reservoir. I think that you are probably all aware of the ongoing management we have been conducting at South Meadow Pond for aquatic invasive plants. We are requesting an extension to the order of conditions for this year so that management can continue. We're entering a second year of a four or 5 year intensive management plan to target beds of plants that have been popping up throughout the water body, throughout the pond system. And because this is an ongoing project, and we've like the DCR Lakes and Ponds program actually started the management back in 2009, and the funding has since transferred several times, and project oversight is now falling directly with the aquatic biologists at Wachusett. We're looking to file a new notice of intent, and we're planning to do that for this season. However, due to some internal delays, we are unable to do that in time for this management season. So we're asking to extend the order again, basically to continue the same management that we have been doing for another season until we can file a new and updated notice in the fall. And I'm happy to be more specific if there are further questions.
Bruce, you've got your hand up. Go ahead.
Sure. What does the process involve? I know I helped out with the Mystic River project where we were removing, plants like that with canoes. What is the process involved in order to remove the invasive aquatic plants?
Yeah, so I wish we were able to do that at South Meadow. Unfortunately, the plants that we're targeting are totally submersed. There's actually multiple invasive plants in this pond system, but the biggest one and the most risk to other local water bodies is hydrilla. So hydrilla is best treated, especially if it's widespread throughout a water body, with herbicides, and that's our method of management in this system. If it was isolated, and maybe we'll get there eventually, if there's small isolated beds, it is something that we could potentially hand pull or pull with divers, but that's just not an option with how widespread it is at this point. We're also managing some things that invasive plants that popped up after we found the hydrilla. Those include, again, submersed plants, curly leaf pondweed, variable milfoil, brittle naiad, and I believe there's a couple of others, but those are the big ones.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments?
No.
Yeah, so the only problem that I think we have, so I don't think the commission would have a problem extending the permit, but under the bylaw, I don't know if, I couldn't find this order on the Registry of Deeds. I don't know if the state is exempt from having to record them.
That is actually one of the issues that we're hoping to rectify with the new notice of intent. When we went back to look at how we would close out the current orders, nothing is recorded. And unfortunately, we don't have records from the contractor that did this work originally. Nobody's been able to find any record that they were recorded. And it wasn't our office that filed the original orders. So that is one of the things we're hoping to take care of, is being able to fully do recording for all of the different parcels. And that's actually one of the things that's holding us up with filing a new notice. We're trying to figure out, because the pond is a great pond, whether or not the state owns it or not. There's also some question about whether it's the dam owner who owns the water rights. However, there's also the parcel maps for the water bodies indicate that some of the abutters own, including the towns. So the town of Lancaster is actually owner on the parcel maps for the majority of the pond that falls in Lancaster. So yes, that is definitely something that we're hoping to. It hasn't come up in all the other times we've requested extensions, but it's something that we became aware of.
So there were two reasons why I brought it up. The first reason is, well, I just wanted to read it. And stupidly, when I went to town hall to look up the other hearing documents, I forgot that I wanted to look up this one, so I didn't seek this in the files. So I don't know if we have a copy in town files. But the other reason I brought it up is because if we issued this also under the bylaw, the commission is not allowed to grant you another extension under the bylaw.
Okay, so this would be the last one.
Well, the commission is not allowed to issue a permit longer than 5 years, and it's not allowed to issue an extension more than once for 1 year only. And since this was over a decade ago, I don't think we could have extended it again, regardless.
Okay, I understand.
I think that's silly in this case. I actually don't like it, but that's what the bylaw says. So I wanted to know if the permit was issued under the bylaw also. Because if it wasn't, it wouldn't actually matter.
Okay,
so
how would I know that?
Well, we would need to see we would need to see the order of conditions. Yeah. So it not being recorded.
I think I do hopefully have a copy of the Lancaster one.
Okay,
I will.
If you could send that to us, that would be great.
Sure.
I think so. I understand the necessity of continuing the treatment. I don't think that that's something that we should obstruct. So it would be ideal if you could get us the new notice of intent quickly so that we could do everything on the up and up. If you can get us the order of conditions, or Brian, if you could look through the files and see if we have a copy, and we can see the language. Maybe we can just say that this is, my concern about the bylaw isn't an issue, and we can just go ahead and grant the extension at the next meeting. But with these questions, I don't know that we could vote today to grant the extension.
Okay, sure. That's totally understandable. That's kind of how this project has been going.
Sorry. Commissioners, any questions or comments at this point? Okay, so this isn't well, no, this was a request for an extension. Brian, I don't remember seeing a form for the request for extension. Isn't there a form for that? I don't know. Did we get one?
No,
This was just a letter.
it was just a letter I got.
Yeah, okay. I think there is a DEP form to request an extension to an order of conditions.
There is.
So look for the form to request.
Joy, did your office actually send the DEP form for a request for extension?
No, I sent the letter that
Just the
the
letter,
same
okay.
letter that we've been sending, yeah.
Okay. I don't,
But I can send the form.
okay. I actually don't know if DEP requires that. Yeah. I don't know if it's equivalent, if the letter is equivalent or not. It's never a question that has never come up before. Okay. So I think, Commission, we should probably treat this as a hearing and vote to continue to the next meeting, and let's see if we can get some of these questions answered, and see if we can vote on it next meeting. Seems like everything's continued to the 9th, but
Yeah.
here we go again.
I'll make a motion to continue to the 9th.
Are you requesting continuance?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we will try to figure out the answers to those questions, send in the form on our end.
Okay. So go ahead with the motion. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine. Make sure we're doing it in the right order. I'll make a motion to continue the hearing for the extension of South Meadow Pond Road.
Yep.
The extension of
Second.
the order of conditions.
Yep. I'll second.
Motions made by Dennis and seconded by Jim to continue the hearing for a request for extension for South Meadow Pond order of conditions. Any further discussion? This will be a roll call vote. Jim LaValle.
Aye.
Dennis Hubbard.
Aye.
Bruce McGregor.
Aye.
Tom Seidenberg also votes aye. Okay. I don't know if I have your email address, but Brian does. We'll circle around and figure out exactly what we need to collect and try to see if we can close this out.
So I'm just looking in the files here from the past, and we do have documentation on South Meadow Pond. An extension request going back to 2023.
That was for the probably for the dam capping project, Town of Clinton. Sorry, not
Yeah,
dam.
that's in there too. Okay.
The dump capping.
Forward South Pond remediation. So there's a few things in here, but okay, these are mostly emails, I guess. All right, so there is an order of conditions from 2011. Is that what we're looking for?
Oh, you've got it. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So here they are.
Can you share that?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. You see those?
Yep, great.
Yep.
It looks like South Meadow Pond Complex order of conditions. You know, the general conditions.
Okay, scroll back up one page. That was the key thing. Okay, it was not issued under the bylaw. That's perfect, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we are good to go to actually issue the extension once we have the extension request.
Excellent. I also at the same time found our copy of that document, and on the last page on the recording, they put NA under county recording. I'm not sure it is on your copy on the very last page. under recording
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
do
has
know
been
that
recorded.
DOT is exempt from recording, so I don't know if that's just generally blanket for all state agencies or not. So,
Yeah, I'm not aware either.
okay.
But I will get the form to you.
Great. Thank you, Brian. That was very helpful. Okay, so we'll get the form and we can vote on that next meeting. Okay. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Thanks, you too. All right, next up on our agenda, enforcement order for 397 Center Bridge Road. So Brian, we had traded an email or two.
I
If
mean, I
I'm,
haven't heard anything back from
yeah,
this. I don't have any communication.
yeah. So go ahead. Sorry, you're going to say
I was just
something.
going to say, I mean, I mean, is this something you'd like me to pull up this guy's application, find his, give him a call? I mean, I don't mind doing it. From what I understand, it won't get us too far, but I guess we can document some communication.
Yeah, I think we need to start really establishing a good paper trail. I think I don't know if Brianna sent the enforcement order only to the violation address, or in addition also sent it to his home address. He does live in Lancaster. So I don't know if that happened. I don't know if
Well,
it was sent
I
certified.
mean, I seem to remember these things not getting any, they come back, I think, forgetting her name, before Brianna.
Yeah, Charlotte.
Charlotte, I'm sorry. Did she send something out, certified mail, and it was returned? That's what I seem to remember. I can't be positive, but that's what I seem to remember in my early days here. That being.
I don't have any record of that.
Okay, I mean, I may be mistaken, but I seem to remember the discussion. Okay, well, let me follow up with him. I'll call, send a mail, send a certified letter. I think there are copies of the letter that were sent. I'll just resend that.
Was it sent certified? Do we have green
I
card?
seem to remember that. I will, let me see if I can find anything here. That would be,
So while Brian's looking, just to remind the commission, so this is a violation where the violator filled,
yeah,
some portion of his property in the riverfront area, which is a violation that would need compensatory flood storage at a minimum. Certainly a permit from the commission could also possibly require additional permits because it's riverfront.
no, that's not it. All right.
So I think the question for the commission is whether we continue to try rescinding the enforcement order or discuss what escalation options we have. So, a short list of what we can do is, so in theory, the bylaw allows us to issue fines. However, in the research that I've done, I don't think that the commission can actually issue fines yet, because the commission hasn't established a schedule of fines. And that's one of the requirements in order to issue fines. So I don't think the commission can issue fines. We can reach out to DEP and tell them of the violation, and DEP can take over enforcement. On the one hand, that pretty much guarantees that enforcement will happen because DEP, in addition to being a state agency, they can levy much larger fines. But if we involve DEP, we will lose control over the enforcement.
So can you guys see the screen now?
Yep.
This enforcement order, so it looks like it was issued by Brianna, and it's ready to go out. So this is
I'm
just,
sure she sent it. I know she sent it.
yes, I just never got any reply from that, so, or at least that I've seen. So we'll just, you guys tell me what to do if you want me to resend this.
Well, so that's what I'm trying to
I'm
figure
sorry,
out.
I was half listening to him because I was kind of looking, trying to get this up and then trying to screen share it, so.
Yeah. So, and then the fourth option, so just to recap, the first three options were resend the enforcement order also to his home address. Maybe also have Brian or Mike go out there and visit the property in person. Option number two would be issue a fine, but we can't do that because we haven't done some of the preliminary groundwork. Specifically, we haven't defined a schedule of fines in our regulations, so we actually can't issue civil fines, even though the bylaw says that we can. Option number three is involve DEP. DEP will almost certainly obtain compliance, but then we will lose local control over the process. And the DEP will not enforce the bylaw. DEP will only enforce the state regulations. And then the fourth option is that we can initiate a lawsuit. So, I think those at the highest level are what our options are. My inclination is obviously we can't do something that we haven't laid the groundwork for, so we can't issue a fine. We've already gotten no response from an enforcement order, and I don't think that initiating legal action is really the step that we're at this point. So that almost leaves by default involving DEP. Now, if the commission thinks that we want to give one more try to in-person enforcement or sending another copy of the enforcement order, we can try that. So I'm happy to hear people's opinions about what our next step should be. Go ahead, Bruce.
I'm okay with resending it. I mean, the history here has been that the violator's been non-responsive. I guess at the very beginning there was a little response, but then everything kind of shut down and he's been very non-responsive. So I think we try it one more time, but then we involve DEP because every time that we've reached out, it's been a non-response.
Thanks, Bruce. Jim, go ahead.
I feel like we're spinning our wheels and getting no traction here. I'd be in favor of just turning this over to DEP now. Yeah, and like you said, they have a bigger stick. They'll probably make things happen.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
I tend to agree with Jim. I'm not one for fines, but this has been going on for a pretty long time. I know the enforcement order was January, but we started this early last year, I believe, having these discussions, trying to get a hold of the property owner and get some movement on this. So I'm more in favor of turning over the DEP.
And I'm okay with that too. I'm good with that too.
Okay. I'm also fine with that. I think as a commission, we have a homework item, which is to establish that schedule of fines so that in the future we have a middle ground for some future enforcement action. But I am in agreement that we haven't obtained compliance. And if we can hand it to the big guys, it'll probably work out better.
We have a responsibility to the resource area, and we need to get some remediation here. I guess while we're figuring out how to turn it over, the one thing I can think of is there a way to do a site visit just to make sure that nothing's changed on the site and it hasn't been remediated?
So
I
it
don't
is
expect
actually,
it has.
It's a little bit hard to see the violation area from the street. I have driven by a couple of times in the last months. It does seem like it's still, the fill is still in place. Tom Christopher and Charlotte Steves did do a site visit in person, shortly after the violation was noticed. They did take pictures, so we have pictures of the fill as it was at the time of the original violation, but we haven't heard anything since. Yeah, so definitely you can see some of the fill from the street. It's possible to see it from the street.
Okay. Yeah, that was the one thing I was thinking of. I know we had good documentation on the violation at the time, but it has been a while. But if we don't see evidence that there's been any change there, then let's give it to the DEP.
Okay, I'd be happy to take a motion to that effect.
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we turn this enforcement over to the DEP.
I will second that.
Great, motion's been made by Jim, seconded by Dennis to reach out to DEP regarding enforcement on 397 Center Bridge Road. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this will be a roll call vote. Dennis Hubbard.
Aye.
Bruce McGregor.
Aye.
Jim LaValle.
Aye.
Tom Seidenberg also votes aye. I actually just realized I took that item out of order, so sorry to Zygmunt. I know that you were on the call for item number 4. I apologize. So item number 4 on the agenda, request to DEP to extend Fort Devon's South Post Hotel firing range. It's not an order of conditions that's being requested to be extended. It's the 401 water quality permit, I believe. And I believe DEP asked the Army to ask us if we care if that permit's extended. I don't know, Zygmunt, do you have some comments or some clarity you can offer to us? Did I get that right?
Good evening, everyone. It is our 404 permit expires next month. We also have a 401 permit as well as an order of conditions. The project has not started yet. Ever since we got the order of conditions about 1.5 to 2 years ago, it's been in a contracting mechanism. It's looking to be awarded this year to begin construction probably next spring. So we would like to extend this if we can, just to give us more time, because we do know that we will eventually have to resubmit. This is going to be at least 2 to 3 year construction project. So we would like to extend while we have a chance so that we can get it awarded before we lose all the money. Does that all make sense?
Makes sense. So your order of conditions with the commission doesn't expire until 2025. We did an extensive review on that project. I personally don't have any problem with granting you an extension to that order, although it's very early to do so. I also have no problem telling DEP that we don't mind if they extend your other permits that were granted in conjunction with our order of conditions. Commissioners, do you have any comments to that effect? Go ahead, Bruce.
Sure. I guess my question is, how long does our order of conditions go into in 2025? And then what are they looking to have us extended into? So does it end in January of 2025 and they want it extended to a certain date? What specifically are they looking for, and what do we have right now?
So I don't have the exact date at my fingertips. I believe it was August is when when our order expires.
Right now we need to be able to award a contract before September so that we can use the money before we lose the money. So our biggest concern is the permitting, the 404 permit specifically. If we could have these extended through the next fiscal, that would give us time to resubmit so that we can have the permits for the full duration of the construction.
I would be okay
Dennis?
with that.
Sorry, Bruce, you were done?
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, I would be okay with that.
Okay. Dennis, you did have your hand up briefly. You're good.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask more about the timing, but he answered it, so I'm good.
Okay. Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, the work has not begun. Did I hear that correctly?
That is correct. The actual construction itself, nothing has changed.
I have no issues with, extending this. I wouldn't object.
So I believe the immediate ask is that the commission tell DEP that we do not oppose the DEP's extension of the 404 permit. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And from the previous lady, I assume that we would have to submit a DEP form for an extension as well. Is that correct?
Yes, if you want to extend our order of conditions, yes, you would need to submit a form.
Oh, just for the order of conditions. Okay,
Yeah.
yes. No, we definitely want the extension for the permits.
So I think what the commission should do is simply send a letter in support of the extension of the 404 permit to DEP, or directly to the Army, and the Army can forward it to DEP, because I don't know necessarily who we would send it to. So I think I'd like a motion that we draft that letter, and would we send it off to you, and then you could make sure it gets where it needs to go at DEP?
That would be perfect. I really appreciate it.
Okay, commissioners, any further comments or questions? Happy to take a motion for that letter.
Sure, I'll make a motion that the commission drafts a letter to the Army giving their consent for DEP to extend their 404 permit. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All right, motion's been made by Jim, and I think seconded by Bruce, to draft a letter to support the Army's request to extend their 404 permit. Any further discussion? This will be a roll call vote. Dennis Hubbard.
Aye.
Bruce McGregor.
Aye.
Jim LaValle.
Aye.
Tom Seidenberg also votes aye. All right, we'll try to get that out to you as soon as possible.
Thank you all very much. That's very helpful. Have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
Tom, would you like me to work on drafting that? I can work with Zygmunt on the language.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. All right, moving right along. Let's see if I can go in order this time. Next on the agenda, avoiding open meeting law violations on site visits. So I had this put on the agenda because I believe we have not been following the correct process when we have a quorum at a site visit. So as we're all aware that there is an exemption to open meeting law for site visits. And the exemption states that, while there is an exemption for site visits, that you can have a quorum of a public body at a site visit, you cannot deliberate. And we had previously been applying that as the commissioners should not ask each other questions or offer opinions. However, the guidance from the Attorney General is different than that. The guidance is that the commissioners, that the board members not ask questions. And, combine that with deliberation. Essentially, the guidance is that if there's a quorum present on a site visit, that you basically don't speak. that doesn't seem very useful, but that is the guidance. So, the actual guidance is really don't ever do site visits as a quorum. Even though there's an exemption, the exemption is pretty useless because almost anything you say can be considered deliberation. Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, so thank you for sharing this with us because I think that's just the new way we'll go from now on is, if I find out that, both Dennis and say if I find out that Dennis wants to go on one and you're going to be there, Tom, then we just going to make sure that Jim and I just don't go. So that way you guys can ask the right questions because it's important to ask questions. And if that's the thing where we can't even ask the questions, because we've been very good about all the other stuff, not deliberating and not giving our opinion. And we've been and you've always been good, Tom, whenever we go there, just reminding us that it's a quorum. I don't think we've had a lot of quorums. But I guess that's just what we'll do is we'll just plan it so we don't have a quorum. So that way whoever's there can ask all the right questions.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. I think I actually think it's important for the commission to see some of the sites, as many of the commissioners see some of the sites as possible, particularly for controversial or large projects. And so we've had some good turnout with the commission at some of those projects. Another way we could structure it without having to make it too burdensome on the applicants is that we simply separate into more than one group and we just stay distinct groups. We can have a single site visit, maybe stagger the times. If we're going to end up with a quorum, we can still have a site visit in one day, but have the first group arrive and do their thing, have the second group arrive later and just stay separate. I think that would also be legal, although the Attorney General's guidance is also that we need to be wary of serial deliberation, right? So, if the first group asks questions, sub-quorum group asks questions, we need to make sure that the first group's questions, comments, etc., don't get transmitted serially to the second group by the applicant themselves or their representative, right? If somebody asks a particularly good question the first time a sub-quorum visits, and then the applicant or their representative helpfully provides that question to the next sub-quorum, that's still a serial deliberation through a third party, and that's also a violation of open meeting law. Jim, you've got your hand up.
Yeah. So I certainly was under the impression that we did not deliberate. So thank you for sending those materials. It was pretty enlightening. And I was surprised at the AG's interpretation of what deliberation means. But, we take this, we learn from it, and in the end, we're a better commission for it. So thank you, Tom, for sending those things and allowing us all to learn from that. And I was surprised by it. So we'll just get better.
Yep. Kendra, you've got your hand up.
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I appreciate your expansion on this. And I just want to say for the record, you guys have done an exceptional job in regards to your site visits. And I'm kind of shocked that this has even come up as a topic matter. So I encourage you to keep staying your course and, being exceptional and staying above the 8 ball and keeping things rolling in a positive manner. And I apologize on behalf of anybody who may think that there may be malfeasance, because I really don't think it's there.
Thank you, Kendra.
Thank you.
I try to do the right thing. And when I learn I've made a mistake, I try to fix it as soon as I can. Okay. Any more comments or questions on that topic?
No.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for bringing it to our attention.
Sure. All right, next up on the agenda, conservation agent hiring update. Brian, I hope you have some good news.
Yeah, pretty good news. So, the communication we got from our candidate, so he was offered the job and he was given, the appointments or the connections he need to make to do background check and go and do, normally what happens in Lancaster is, an appointment is made for the candidate to go to get a background test, drug test, essentially, and so his communication, the candidate's communication back to us is as soon as that is confirmed or those things are passed and he's in the clear, he will then give his 2-week notice. So according to Kathy, who handles these appointments, his appointment will be on Friday, and she says that they get the results back very quickly. So with hope that we will have him have a confirmation for him on, say, Monday the 1st, we can expect to have a new conservation agent on board on, say, April 15th. So
Yay.
it should be around that point, with that schedule, if everything falls into place. Now, that's pretty optimistic. It might be, a day or two a week play, but I mean, we can certainly try and make that schedule work.
All right, well, here's hoping that tax day is a day to celebrate this year instead of regret. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for the update, Brian.
Good news.
And then last item on, oh, no, second to last item on the agenda. So we do have an open seat on the commission. I was thinking that we need to do some kind of outreach. I don't know, Brian, you haven't heard anything about anyone submitting a letter of interest to a select board?
Send anything to me. No.
Yeah. So I was thinking that I was going to email, a bunch of folks in town that I think are active in various other groups. I'm going to try to reach out to someone in the land trust. Anyway, a bunch of people who've either been active in the past or who I feel have really good connections, and ask them, if they know folks, please reach out to them. If they're interested in serving on a town board, please submit a letter of interest. I think
Yeah,
also
we have 1 or 2 nights a month open still, right?
what was that?
I was just asking Kendra. She still has 1 or 2
Yeah.
a month open. Maybe she can jump on this.
I think Kendra probably has enough homework on the board she's on already.
Listen, for the record, I campaigned against the conflict of interest between conservation and planning. However, if the chair would be so kind as to entertain my comment.
Sure.
Has a actual notice been posted on the town website?
Well, so that was
I just learned about the vacancy recently.
So I think it's on the board openings page. I think I checked that already, but I was also going to ask Kate to put it on the town Facebook.
Yeah. Okay, I can do that. I'm just looking to see what's on the main page here.
Yeah, the position's on the board openings page.
Okay, perfect.
Half a dozen others.
I would love to help advocate for a positive person to join your board, because you guys have done some great work. And on that, I'm going to be silent. It will not be me.
Okay.
As much as I love you guys, there's a true conflict of interest in my opinion, but I will absolutely advocate for you guys to get a good, positive member that will help contribute to your board.
Yeah, and I like a diversity of opinions, so it doesn't even necessarily have to be someone who hugs the trees.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you very much for saying that.
All right. Let's see, next on the agenda, we have some minutes to approve. So Brian, the minutes for November 28th and December 12th, we did already approve those.
Okay, all right, well, they're up on the website as draft still, so, yeah,
So
so
going-
we'll take those down as, and we'll mark those as approved.
So I'm just going back through my notes. This was probably the first meeting that Brianna ran. We approved the minutes on January 9th, November 28th as amended, and December 12th as is. So my notes don't capture what the amendments were, so we will need to go back to the recording if Brianna hadn't made those edits and handed them to Roz, or I don't know how that process works, how they get posted, but
But was, as soon as the recording is the next day, actually, after the meeting, we get the recording from Zoom. Roz starts in on the minutes as soon as she can with her other minutes that she does, and then posts a draft on the website. So we'll just need to.
How you doing? Good. How are you? I'm still watching
Tom Christopher, you're off mute.
Just the conversation about the are they going to hire? Are they going to appoint a new commissioner? Did they?
Roz, can you mute Tom Christopher?
Or anything?
Yes, they just finished discussing it, and basically,
Tom, you're not muted. Tom
Roz,
Christopher, you're not muted.
Okay.
There it goes.
Yeah. Thanks. Okay. All right. So we don't need to approve those minutes again. We just need to make sure those edits get added. Next on the minutes, we have March 12th.
Yep.
Do we have a motion or do we have edits for March 12th?
I have no edits. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have motion made by Jim, seconded by Bruce to approve the minutes from March 12th. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this will be a roll call vote. Jim LaValle.
Aye.
Bruce McGregor.
Aye.
Dennis Hubbard.
Aye.
Tom Seidenberg also votes aye. And for the 316 meeting minutes, I'm going to table that. And we'll bring those up at the next meeting since they relate to 10 Fire Road 54. So I'm just going to table that and we're not going to vote on that today. And that closes our agenda. Anyone have anything else? Yeah, go ahead, Bruce.
Sure. On Bolton Road, all of the fields on Bolton Road, except the very back lot next to the river, are owned by the 5 houses that abut that we own. All of those. All of our houses are hammerhead lots that actually go to Bolton Road. But the last strip right on the river is owned by somebody. What's that?
The south side of Bolton Road, not the other side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the back strip, I think it's owned by a doctor, and they've done a lot of. I mean, I think it looks great what they've done. I don't think it violates any. I mean, it's violating because they're taking down trees within 200 feet of the river. That property back there was just like that. Not only after we moved in 20 years ago, but for a long time, and then over the last 10 years or so, it really grew in. And so they're just putting it back to the same condition it was before. I don't think they're removing any soil or adding any soil, but I mean, they're taking down trees and a lot of brush without approaching us. So I don't think it's hurting anything. I don't think it's hurting wildlife. But I'm just surprised that they've done that without just coming in front of us first. It was about a year or two ago. I remember I was just walking down Bolton Road and I heard a chainsaw. So I went out there and I asked the gentleman, I said, "Are you cutting down trees?" And he said, "No, I'm just trimming a few things." I said, "Okay, because if you ever, are going to cut down trees, just come to the Conservation Commission first." And that wasn't the owner, but it was someone that the owner was hiring. So I'm just kind of surprised that they're, yeah, if you take a look at this, here it is. Thank you. So,
It's zero
see where it
lot.
says 0? Yep. So you can see how all these are hammerhead lots. You can see, well, the first one, the first lot there. Oh, can you bring that back up? So the first lot there is just one lot, and then that second lot that's our house right here, and it goes all the way over to Bolton Road. But it's that last one that says 0. And I'm just surprised that they're kind of. It's really kind of a. You see where that 0 on the right is? It's right in that area there. And once again, they're doing a beautiful job. They're leaving some trees up. I don't think it's going to hurt the environment at all. I think what they're doing, I would approve. I'm just surprised that they're taking down trees like that without coming in front of us. I just wanted people's opinions on that.
Is it the farmer doing that? Like, who is doing it?
See, I don't know, and I'd have to check to see who the recent owner is. I don't know if the doctor had sold it to somebody else. Originally, the people that owned it when we first moved here I think we might have been the Seventh-day Adventists, and then they sold it. I know a doctor had owned it more recently. I don't know if he sold it after that or if he still owns it. But if it is the doctor, then he must be having. I don't know if he's planning on having. What he was doing was he was having kind of like these farmers that were there in some of the area at one point almost looked like a tent city. I'm kind of glad all of that stuff is gone. There was a lot of like trash back there. I think that might have been all cleaned up. I think they're doing a good job. I just want to know what people's opinions are of the fact that they're kind of taking down trees within 200 feet of the river front.
Yeah.
So I guess, Bruce, my first comment is, since it's farmland, it's definitely a different regulatory regime.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I would need to review the regulations specifically in reference to farmland.
Okay.
Under the bylaw, agriculture is explicitly exempted, so it's only regulated under 310 CMR 10, and 310 CMR 10 also has exemptions for agriculture. I don't know if agricultural uses need to come before the commission. So that's something we should investigate, because that's certainly within the riverfront area. It's even within 100 feet, and that's a stricter standard of review. So I don't know if the exemptions apply there. So
I like what they're doing.
We should investigate that.
Yeah, I like what they're doing. I think they're bringing it back to where it was before. It just kind of got overgrown because people kind of just wasn't paying attention to it. So I don't have any issues with what's going on. I just wanted to make sure that everything is just done the right way. Since I live right there and I see it, I just thought I would mention it. That's all.
Yeah. So there's some conservation owned land there too, right?
On the other side of the river.
No, on this side of the river.
On this side, yeah. Is it right at the river? Because I know the if you walk down the river, there's a whole meadow that the town owns, and but do they
not the road that the farmers drive on, but the other one closer to the river, that's on the conservation trail map.
Okay.
Yeah. And it goes along the river to the back of the so the end of your street.
Yep.
And there's a wooded area back there, and it's been a while since I've been there. I think there's a lot of coyotes back there.
Yep. No, I know there's a big area called the Meadow that I know that the town owns. We've been back there before too.
Okay.
So that's actually something the commission needs to get a handle on. It was something that Brianna and I very briefly started working on, was getting all of the conserved land either owned by the Concom or where Concom holds a CR. So I did in fact make a list of all of the lands that the commission owns or has a conservation restriction on. I think the parcel that you're speaking about, the open space parcel, I don't think that that's actually a commission parcel. I think it's just owned by
probably
the
just a
town.
town-owned parcel, right?
So maybe, remember a few years ago, there was a town trail map put out. That's where I saw it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think Bruce or Jim, maybe you were talking about this parcel here. One of you were mentioning a
Yeah,
parcel
that's the one I was thinking might have been that 0 right there. I think that one might be town owned. Is that correct?
That is town owned, but I don't think it's commission owned.
Okay.
So this is a list of all of the parcels that I could find that I thought might be either commission owned or conserved. And let's see, so this would be probably Nashua River Greenway if it's on here, and this is parcel 3885. It's not on my list. Oh, wait, no. Okay. So I had a question about this one, yeah.
Yeah.
So these are the Kilburn lands. I don't think that these are commission managed lands.
Okay.
But this is something the commission does need to get a better handle on of the lands that it manages, because we do have responsibilities for these lands. We need to be monitoring them for encroachments. And also, you know, since we own the land, we are in some sense responsible for maintenance. You know, as we remember from the Beaver Dam at Eagle Ridge,
Yeah.
you know, we were on the hook for managing that problem before it caused property damage to the neighbors, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so the trail map, Jim, I've looked at that trail map, and there's also a lot of trails on Mass Mapper. There's a lot of trails through private properties, and I don't know how accurate those maps are, or, you know, how much permission those private property owners have actually given for those trails, or, you know, how that's been memorialized.
Yeah.
I assume since they're on a map, at some point somebody said, yeah, let's make a trail, or there is a trail here and you can use it. But, you know, if the property's changed hands and that wasn't in a deed or in a conservation restriction, I don't really know what force lines on maps actually have.
Okay. Point taken. Yep. Good point.
And there's a substantial number of trails between 117 and the Nashua River, all labeled McGovern Loop. And some of them are on Concom land, and some of them are on land trust land, but most of them are on private lands. And it would be good to know, you know, the genesis of those trail markings, and how, you know, how legal it would be for random people to actually use those trails.
Right.
Right. So thanks for that information, Bruce. I think that is something that we need to do a little bit of research on. It's quite possibly exempt under the agricultural exemptions, either by law or state, but we should understand, because for sure, cutting down trees in the riverfront area is something that you need to ask Concom permission for.
Yep.
And that's absolutely
if
in
it's
the
exempt,
riverfront.
that'd be great, especially for farmland. But I was just curious, so thank you very much.
Yep. Any other business?
Yes, I have one thing, Tom.
Sure, go ahead, Brian.
Sure. So, this is someone mentioned it, I think, down on, 310 Fort Pond Road, the issue of the floating dock and Chapter 91. So we do have a question. I won't say the name or anything since it's not an application yet, but there is a request going through for to install a floating dock. And I was going through the documentation for Chapter 91, and it looks like that would be the way to go. But there is a if there's a question, if I'm I lost my place here, it could be. So I guess my question to the commission is: do you want this to come before the board as an RDA? So one of the last, if you are seeking a determination as to whether a property, project, or activity is subject to Chapter 91 authorization, it does say, it does recommend request for determination of applicability, an RDA. So I'm not
No,
sure.
so Chapter 1 isn't managed by this board.
Okay, yeah.
We don't have any role in Chapter 91. The only intersection between Concom and Chapter 91 is when the dock or retaining wall also requires an order of conditions because of the resource area.
Okay, so, I mean, resource area, it's a floating dock, so it's in the river. But I from the specs that are, so I'm not sure what you mean by so it's in a resource area, right? It's a water.
So I mean a wetlands resource area
Oh,
as
wetlands
enumerated
resource
in,
area. Okay.
yeah.
Okay, all right. So just
yeah,
straight Chapter 91 issue through okay, that'll be the response.
Yeah, so Chapter 91, you have to go to the state. What's unclear to me with respect to Chapter 91 is if the commission can make a requirement in its order of conditions for an applicant to obtain a Chapter 91 permit for their dock, or supply a negative determination from the state saying that they don't need one. That's an open question in my mind. I did a little bit of research on that because the DEP comments for 310 did mention Chapter 91, and I couldn't really find a definitive answer. The town of Webster Conservation Commission held an open forum with DEP last year where they talked about Concom and the intersection with Chapter 91. And it's actually quite a useful document to read, but it doesn't actually answer my question.
All right, so that's an open question still. So,
well, it seems clear that the Webster Conservation Commission makes Chapter 91 permits a requirement of their orders of conditions. And they basically started the forum with the question to the DEP representatives, basically assuming that they add that to the order, and nobody from DEP objected. So they didn't say outright that yes, a Concom can require a 91 permit or negative determination, but they didn't say you can't either. That's the best I was able to determine. And I asked the very same question in response to DEP's comments to the reviewer, and she also didn't answer the question. So I don't know. I'll reach out. I'm going to reach out to Mia directly and ask her just that question and see what she says, because I would like to know, because I feel like the commission should, if the commission is allowed to make that a condition, I think that we should be making that a condition on all of the ponds, because everybody should have Chapter 91 permits if they have docks, or they should have Chapter 91 negative determinations.
So, right, Chapter 91 negative determinations.
Yeah. So the state doesn't provide any exemptions for any of these people on the ponds who have docks or structures in the water. There isn't an exemption in the law for them for historical structures. The law is pretty clear. They need the Chapter 91 permit or a negative determination, and it actually needs to be recorded in the Registry of Deeds. I only found 4 Chapter 91 permits on Fort Pond when I looked in the Registry of Deeds out of curiosity. So, or maybe it was all four ponds together, I only found four. So basically nobody's doing it.
Yeah.
And it's not the commission's job to enforce that. So I don't know if we can even make that a condition.
Okay.
Tom Christopher, you've had your hand up for a while.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and commission members. Just to give you a little background on the agricultural provision related to Bruce's question. The agricultural setback for resource areas is 1/2 of the normal setback. So instead of 100 feet, it is 50 feet. On the Riverfront Protection Act, instead of being 200 feet, it is 100 feet. So getting to Bruce's question directly about cutting along the river, there is also a provision in the ag section. There is a provision for maintaining field edges. So if it is an existing field edge, they're certainly in their right to undertake that type of work without any filing anything. It has always been my practice when I was representing agricultural clients to make sure that if any of that activity was going to take place, at a minimum, we would notice the various commissions by letter. And if there's any question, we would then make an appearance. So I hope that will be helpful.
Thanks, Tom.
Tom, that's very helpful. That's exactly what they're doing is they're just maintaining the field edge that was there. You know, there was a field edge that was there, which got overgrown, and they're just going back to maintaining the field edge that was there. So I think they're completely fine. So thank you for getting that information to us. I appreciate that.
Okay, you're welcome.
Kendra?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a point of order to keep your records clean. If Mr. Christopher could state his address, name and address for the record.
Gee, Kendra, I thought everybody knew me. Anyway, Tom Christopher, 139 Harvard Street, Fitchburg, Massachusetts. Just providing some insight to the commission.
Chair Emeritus? Yeah. All right. Thank you both. I think we've gone on long enough. If there's no more business, I'd be happy to take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion's been made by Bruce, seconded by Jim to adjourn the meeting. This will be a roll call vote. Bruce McGregor.
Aye.
Jim LaValle.
Aye.
Dennis Hubbard.
Aye.
Tom Seidenberg also votes aye. Thank you.